That's amazing. And the fact that Disney's in there, I love that. What are you going to do now? Go to Disney.
If they are challenged, sitting down and getting homework done or getting the rooms cleaned or anything, be there, help them do it, be there with them.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the ADHD Eavesdrop, where you can be a butterfly on the wall and listen in on my conversations. And who am I? I'm Janine Van Stee, an ADHD life coach who helps people better manage their symptoms and live the best lives that they can. Today, we have a great guest with us, Lynne Williams, who's an educational doctorate candidate. Lynne has been included in LinkedIn Peers on the top 2024 list of the top 50 LinkedIn experts worldwide, and on the same in the 2022 and 2023 list. In addition, she was in Philadelphia's list of the top 15 LinkedIn experts in 2023. So you have got so much information to share with us, and I'm so excited. We were just talking about before we went on the air about how this is kind of my thing. I really think that finding jobs and being productive members of society is really what we are hoping for all of our people as they grow and mature from high school into adulthood. And you have a lot of really good information for people who are looking to find jobs. And with ADHD, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. So, Lynne, fill us in. Tell us more about what you do.
All right, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and tell you about where I came from. I have reinvented myself, I think, 6 times. And the last reinvention before I got into career services was I was a K-12 teacher. So I have 9 Pennsylvania Department of Education certifications, 2 are administrative, and 7 are instructional. And in the instructional, I have K-12, no, actually make that N-12 special education. And I've also taught gifted and talented. So I've gone on both sides of the bell curve and everything in between. Now, on top of that, I am the parent of a child who was found to have a reading disability in 3rd grade. So we started exploring things in 4th grade with a psychiatrist, psychologist, etc. And the rest is kind of history. So I'll maybe jump back into that story after I finish sharing about my what I currently do. So what I currently do and have for over a decade is I write resumes and write LinkedIn profiles, and I focus on keywords. In addition, I run a 501c3 nonprofit called Great Careers Network, and we provide online education about career topics. And I have people come worldwide as subject matter expert speakers to do 18 to 25 events a month. Sometimes they are just networking events, and otherwise they could be networking and learning events. I'm also currently working on writing my doctoral dissertation on the topic of LinkedIn for job seekers. So that's like a good overview start of where I'm at.
Wow, LinkedIn job seekers is a doctoral thesis.
Well,
How did
that
that
was my
happen?
topic. Well, I'm in an educational leadership program, and you could choose whatever topic you want. So, of course, LinkedIn for job seekers is absolutely fascinating to me. So, that is what I decided to research and write on. And it's really hard because there's not, the people before me have not written about that. So, I have to pull my research about social media in general and not necessarily LinkedIn. So I'm a little bit of a pioneer in the space. But because I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles, I really attribute this a lot to my K-12 teaching.
Mhm.
So I used to write IEPs, individual education plans, and reevaluations. And I used to write GIEPs, gifted individual education plans. And now I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles. So to me, that's the same kind of thing where I am helping somebody with their individual career documents. And I just like working with people one on one with a kind of white glove concierge approach rather than trying to scale, and build a business and have lots of career coaches under me. I just like, one on one. I like building relationships and helping people. And I work at their speed. So I say the speed of you. So that's what I do.
And that's awesome because I too am a retired educator and I missed that one-on-one so much, especially since I spent the last, 7 years of my career in central office administration. I didn't get much time to actually get in there and work one-on-one with the kids and with people. So with coaching, that was kind of the same thing. I want to do this one-on-one again. I want to work with people one-on-one, and that's part of the podcast too, is that connection is so important.
So I'm going to go back to that third grader who was diagnosed with, at the time, it was called ADD.
Mhm.
She is now 35, and age 29, she was also diagnosed with autism.
Hmm.
So I have lived with a neurodivergent a child, now adult child, all my life, and she definitely has autism and ADHD, well, ADD, whatever you want to call it now.
DSM
And
calls it ADHD, so
there you go. So basically, I don't know what it is, but I do get some clients who are neurodivergent, and it's interesting, just working with them. I do the same K-12 teacher thing. I break things into chunks so that they can be successful. So it's like, here's your one homework assignment. I do, you do. Okay, do you understand what you need to do? Yes, I do. Okay, go do it. And at the end, you can go, booyah, yeah, I got that done. Okay, let's make another Zoom call. Let me show you the next step. I do, you do. And by the time we put all this together, you have career documents. You've driven the stick shift, so to speak, because I have a collaborative process and I teach you how to do things. So I have a lot of people, even who are not neurodivergent, who love the process. It's not my jam to take somebody's resume and turn it around and jam it back down their throat. I can't make them look like a rock star without their input and feedback. So that's why I like that collaborative approach, and I like building relationships with people. So it's fun.
absolutely. So, and going back to raising that neurodiverse child, what did that do for you as far as your profession and leading you in your profession?
Interesting story. Interesting that you asked that. So I was in corporate America, and then I, decided to go into K-12 education because I wanted to be a mentor and an advocate for my child. So I have two girls, and the other one is 33. I got 35 and 33. And the older one, I don't know. I think I just became her best friend. I was very supportive of her self-esteem and always helped build her up rather than tear her down. I was always there to help her grow and develop and work with her on her homework so that she could be successful, with some accommodations of some help. And I left climbing the corporate ladder to go into K-12 education so I could learn about special education and different diagnoses. And I've had kids that have been all over the map with, you name it, whatever diagnoses that they have. Um, and so that gave me, I guess, a bigger picture of being more tolerant and patient along the way. And so, as I said, she's still to this day, we are BFFs. We just got back from Disney. So
Oh,
we go to
fun.
Disney all the time. We went and did 5 trips last year, and we've already got our second trip booked this year. So we hang out with each other. And I sold her my townhouse, and I moved out for 5 years. And then when the pandemic hit, I needed to leave my apartment that I was renting. And so I said, guess what? I'm moving back in. So I have the guest room, but once my kids got through college, I realized that, I didn't need to be in K-12 teaching anymore and need to be on their schedule because I was a single parent. So I decided to go back and take a little taste of the corporate world. And I did that for almost 4 years. Well, before that 4 years, I had lost my job and I was a job seeker for 11 and a half months. And in that time, I listened to all these people talk about how to do LinkedIn, how to do resumes, how to do personal branding, what about keywords, what about the applicant tracking system, etc. And the teacher in me was gobbling this stuff up. And I took it all in and I'm like, okay, well, I can regurgitate this in my own little way and I can teach adults how to do this. So that's kind of how my journey got started and where I'm at. I was doing it part time, mornings, afternoons, or mornings, evenings, and weekends around my full time W-2 job. And when it was almost 4 years that I was in, I realized I was not going to climb any corporate ladders. And it was time to turn in my resignation. And so I did. I gave 3 weeks notice. And I didn't get everything done on November 1st. So I went in a half a day on November 2nd, 2017, because I just felt like I wanted to leave my desk with enough notes so that somebody could just pick up and take off and, follow my footsteps to help the president of an $11 billion company. And then I left to go to a women's luncheon. I left the women's luncheon to go to the airport and I flew down to Disney World. So that's how I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2017, full time.
That's amazing. And the fact that Disney's in there, I love that. What are you going to do now? Go to Disney.
Absolutely. That's my happy place. It's great weather usually. And we go down there to eat, drink, and make merry because we have annual passes. It's not always about the rides. It's just getting away from the computer and, your normal household for a different scene and a different view of things.
Mhm.
So that's I can't take a week or two off usually being an entrepreneur. So I take a lot of mini 2, 3, 4 day vacations so that I can have my little digital detox and break.
I love that. Yeah, I have a friend who absolutely loves Disney and she has ADHD and she talks about like just the dopamine dump of being there. She just loves it. So I hope your daughter gets that same dopamine dump when she's there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Disney took away the DAS Pass, Disability Accessibility
Mm.
Services, and it was a pretty hairy carry experience the first time that we went without the DAS pass and we had to navigate it. So when you have a neurodivergent person, there's certain expectations and they have schedules and they arrange things in their mind of how things are going to be. Like I'm just like the guest who follows her along the way. Like she plans everything out and I have a wonderful time. She's like the best Disney planner, but that put a little wrench in things when they took away the DAS pass.
Mm.
So, for anybody who is a Disney nerd and needs to plan for somebody that needs some sort of accommodations, we actually had to spend a little bit extra money to get a lightning lane pass.
Hmm.
And then there's this super cool app. Oh, what's it called? Skipjack or Skipperjack or something like that. It's an AI based app, and it's like $45 for a whole family for a week. And so when you have the extra funds that you pay for the lightning lane pass and you pay this very low fee, honestly for that AI thing, it actually books you for the next passes. And that's what's really helped the situation with Disney and kind of maintained and helped her keep her cool so that she could do some planning and still have somewhat of control when she said, hey, these are the rides that I want to go on.
Hmm.
So we didn't actually do it this past trip because it didn't seem that busy. We decided we were going to wait until we got there to see how the lines were. And we just enjoyed the food and arts festival at Epcot and grazed all day and just went on a couple rides. And we also went to Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom and had fun. And we didn't feel pressured to buy the extra um, lightning lane pass and whatnot. And we had a great time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I tend to get overwhelmed as an ADHD person. Sometimes I get a little like overstimulated. And so you have to kind
Well,
of know where to go and what to do to kind of bring that stimulation down too.
well, being autistic, she honestly has a photographic memory. Um, so going back into her elementary years, or actually middle school years, in seventh grade, she had a class trip to Williamsburg, Virginia, and the whole class and the teachers and whatnot, they stayed in a hotel overnight. And so when I went down with her to Williamsburg, Virginia, she's like, Mom, turn left, Mom, turn right. And I'm like, what the heck? Where's this coming from? Like, how do you know how to get around? She just remembered from her trip. So she's a pretty smart cookie.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, I rely on her and her photographic memory for taking me around all the Disney parks, and she does all the planning. So that's pretty cool, for me. And every time we go, we get to try a different restaurant. Um, and so that's a fun experience too. But I do like it that she does plan. The bad thing is with ADHD, she sucks at packing.
Mm.
So, and her executive functioning skills, oh, yeah. We're talking, we live in a messy house, and she does need my help and support, even as a 35-year-old with laundry and packing and needs that moral support. It just is what it is. And I accept that. And because I don't chastise her for it, I'm there to help and support. Even as an adult child, you know, I guess maybe that's why we get along so good. I'm just there to help be a confidence builder and help her build her self-esteem rather than tear it down. So, my advice to parents, especially with little kids, if they are challenged, sitting down and getting homework done or getting the rooms cleaned or anything, be there, help them do it, be there with them, and don't tear down their self-esteem, build it up.
That is, and I'm sitting here thinking, if I had somebody like you to work with me on creating a resume, and because I'm coming back to that personality, I feel in you that person who's going to help somebody learn how to do this process, who's going to, really meet a person where they're at, and that is so important. So, thank you for doing the work that you do. I'm curious, how is it different working with a person with ADHD when you're doing what you're doing than it is working with somebody without?
Oh, interesting. I have had some people who just want me to be there with them, and they want me to be online while they do the tasks that they do. And it's kind of like I'm their accountability partner.
Mm.
So if they want me to watch them do everything, then, that would be billable time. But if you just need me to be your accountability partner on Zoom, and I can answer my emails or do whatever on a second screen on my computer, then that I'm there. I'm not really watching you, but I could be. um, but at least I can be productive, and then I don't necessarily have to bill them. If I'm not working with them at that time, but just there being their accountability partner. I
So
mean, sometimes
essentially,
we
you're
need
body
that.
doubling with them.
That's the term my daughter uses all the time is body doubling. Yes. And I get that. I totally get that. Yes.
Absolutely. And it's beneficial to both people, so you can't complain.
So we have in the nonprofit, it's greatcareers.org. We run about 18 to 25 events a month, and people can kind of come and go, as they please. And there's a whole bunch of goodies that they get if they become a member. Now, it's only $5 a month. I kid you not. It's the price of a cup of coffee for 18 to 25 events. So that professional development is like 20 or 25 cents an event that you could be contributing to a nonprofit. Now, if you only attended one event a month, are you better off spending an hour, hour and a half versus learning versus 15 minutes for a cup of coffee? Right? So it's an amazing deal, but you do have to buy it annually. Because we got actually hacked for the monthly fee, and that was not pretty. It took me so much time to undo everything that the hacker did, and I'm like, I'm not doing this again. So I'm gonna put my foot down, and $59 a year, $5 a month. We really provide a lot of value. The organization was started just on Meetup by two guys in 2010. I took it over in 2015. And because of my mom's passing in 2016, I waited till 2017 before I turned it into a 501c3 nonprofit because I felt it served community. And we are what I would call a DEI BAJ organization. So diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, accessibility, and justice. So as an autistic person or an ADHD person in the workforce, you want belonging, right? And you need accessibility if you have vision impairment or hearing impairment. I mean, if something doesn't work, hey, let us know because we're volunteer based and we don't have all the experts that can check double check everything. But if something needs to be fixed that you can't access, let me know and I will do my best to figure out how to fix it. So we have an LGBTQ plus group. Unfortunately, we don't have enough people coming, so it may end in February 2025. We do have an immigrant professionals career support group. And so, we try to support people, like all people who need help. We have mid to senior level executives. We have a couple groups for that. And then other than that, we have just, professional education on career topics. And I do much of the speaking, but I also have subject matter experts that appeal to job seekers. So those are people in career transition or want to be in career transition. They want to jump ship, as well as career management. So career management could be your self-employed or employed. Now, I speak a lot for score.org, which is currently supported by the SBA. However, who knows what's going to happen with that in the current administration's funding of the SBA in the past week and a half. So score.org has lots of different chapters around the country. And so I started with the Pennsylvania chapter, and I now speak for the past 2 years for Silicon Valley. As of December, I'm with Los Angeles. As of January, I'm with Las Vegas. And as of February, I'm with Jacksonville. So I do a lot of speaking for free to help people. And even though score.org is more geared towards the entrepreneurial community, I have job seekers that do attend my workshops because there's a lot of transferable information on there about LinkedIn tips. So, it's kind of like everybody's welcome, and, dive in and start learning.
So I want to think about how to ask this question because you do nonprofit work. You are obviously, here we go. You are obviously a servant type personality.
Yes, servant leader. Yes.
Servant leader. And I always said to myself that I was also a servant leader. And so in that, being a servant leader and being the type of person that you are wanting to help other people, what is your biggest bliss with your job? Throw you for a loop.
I realize my original inspiration was reading the book called The Go-Giver, and that was in 2013. And that was when I was in job transition for 11 and a half months, single parent, no other income. And just a year prior to that, no, 2 years prior to that, a couple years prior to that, I lost everything in my life to fire. And I had depreciated value insurance, not replacement value. So needless to say, it was pretty ugly financially, raising two girls, going to college, losing everything in your house, having to replace everything. So I was in a community where I had a Girl Scout community, a neighborhood community, supporting me with the girls. Actually, that was in 2005. Sorry, 2005 was the fire. I can't even imagine what's going on in Los Angeles. Like, there, you don't have that community to help and support you because everybody is in the same shoes. Knowing that I had lost everything in my life, and I compare myself to, let's say, a single mother or a mother in Somalia with a baby on her back, not knowing where she's going to sleep, not knowing where her next meal is going to come from. And I consider myself lucky. So when you want to compare yourself to others in the world who have so much less than you, I look and say to myself, I'm so blessed. Even though I'd lost, everything in my life and financially and whatnot, and then I lost the job for 11 and a half months. So it's kind of like starting all over again. So I realize that there are people that need career services and can't afford them. They can't afford a career coach. So my give back is that I do these presentations to help others. Why? Because, as a former K-12 teacher, about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we're talking about water and food and shelter, etc., before we get up to the upper rungs. And I have food and water and shelter, and I can go to Disney, right? So I have the ability, to pay for healthcare. I have a car that's paid for, and I can pay for gas and insurance, etc. So when you compare your life to others, I feel my bliss is that I am very blessed. And so I give my time and talent to others to help them. And dimes to donuts, there's always somebody that hears me and learns something from me. And they do have some pennies in the bank where they can afford a career coach. So I'm helping those in need because they need to get to that Maslow's hierarchy of needs lower rung. And I'm also sharing my knowledge and there's somebody out there that wants to buy that white glove concierge experience. So I know this is super crazy, but in 1993 in California, when I was going through a divorce, I started a company called Around the Clock Executive Helper, and I was going to be a virtual assistant. When I moved to Pennsylvania on 13 hours notice, believe it or not, in 1994, with my girls, I reestablished that Around the Clock Executive Helper. That no longer fits my brand. And I'm like, I've been in business over 30 years. I need to rebrand. So that's why I did Career News Today, LLC, because I took that virtual assistant experience and my K-12 teaching experience, the business acumen that I learned from working in corporate America and in entrepreneurship. But all that business acumen, I've been able to kind of conglomerate in order to help other people. So, I see some resume writers say, oh, I only do federal resumes, or I only do, college students or whatever. I'm like, I don't get that. Like, I can do anybody. I can any industry, any age, I have lawyers and doctors and PhDs, all the way down to college students. They ask me, hey, take care of my kid. He wants an internship. So to me, it's all about keywords, and it's all individualized based upon an individual's strengths, and what they've done in their jobs. So maybe they've babysat, maybe they've walked dogs, maybe they worked at Panera or Burger King or something like that. We will come up with metrics. So I want to have metrics in the bullet points in a resume, so you can show a company, how did you help a company or somebody make money, save time, improve processes, or so that you can show how you have moved mountains and made impact in the past. And it can be projected that as a job candidate, you can do the same in the future. Now, typically, not everybody knows how to do that. And this is where it's that individual white glove concierge service that I'm going to pull that out of them. But I don't have ESP. They got to tell me how many of this, that, and the other thing they did. Give me a dollar, a number, or a percent. And then I will make you look like a rock star with your help.
You also then teach people how to use LinkedIn.
Yep. There's a lot of bells and whistles on LinkedIn. And if you are a job seeker, you got to do things one way. If you're an entrepreneur, you got to do things a different way. And if you are doing career management, like you just want to have a presence on LinkedIn to improve, your personal brand, then we do things a different way. So I think about all the federal employees who, got notice this week. They probably had the red carpet pulled out from under them. It's a shock. So warning to everyone, this can happen to you. You have to have your career documents in order. You have to keep up with your resume each and every year. You've got to keep your LinkedIn profile updated. But the most important thing, I wish I would have told this to my younger self, is make networking a habit. When you are in career transition, you are scrambling, trying to build relationships with people. And we have a lot of introverts out there. I'm sorry, you got to get over yourself, find a wingman or a wingwoman and go to networking events. You've got to meet people. It's people that hire people, not bots. And starting in high school, when you're 16 years old, get that LinkedIn profile going and, connect with your teachers, your professors in college or in your workplace, and see if you can get those recommendations and endorsements. And make sure you focus on keywords and optimize that LinkedIn profile and be current on it. Commenting creates visibility, discoverability, and credibility. So, start building it when you're young, and network in person and online, and keep building those networking connections on LinkedIn. You have to have over 500 connections for the algorithm to sort of work in your favor. So you've got to be active on LinkedIn in order to reap the benefits. So as I said, after 30 years, I don't have a current website right now. All my business comes from writing, from speaking, and from being on LinkedIn. And I had no idea that the go giver would be sort of the strategy to my success of, I reap what I sow. So I put it out there and I help others. And I had no idea it was going to come back to bless me as much as it did. So there's my bliss.
I love that. And I think that is the first time I've ever heard somebody say, start your LinkedIn when you're 16.
Yeah,
That's amazing. But yeah, you because it kind of does create like a record of your process as well. So, as you're adding things and putting, it's almost like having a portfolio built.
exactly. I got to go on a 1 month internship when I was in high school, and they still do it today. So I put my name in as a local business because I'm, right in the same district where I live and I have my office. And I put my name in saying, if students want to work for a nonprofit and do social media and video editing and, whatnot. During the pandemic, I ran virtual opportunities, but not in the pandemic. I ran in person in my office as well as virtual. So, I have a hybrid situation. Even with these 17 and 18-year-olds who are seniors in high school, might not come to me with a LinkedIn profile, but by gum and by golly, they are getting one on the way out as well as a resume. That's my give back and thank you for, donating your time. And the teacher in me wants to teach them how to do things. So we have a lot of different social media platforms at our nonprofit, and we get a lot for free as a 501c3. So they get a chance to touch and feel, lots of different platforms. Like we have to pay for some things, but they get a chance to teach a lot or learn a lot of different platforms on their LinkedIn profiles. I teach them, here's that Panera, here's that walking dog situation, and here are the metrics for what you did at our nonprofit. And just make sure that when you do internships in college, when you get your first job, make sure you track all your metrics, because what is it? Every September, it's International Update Your Resume Month. And that's when people are supposed to be updating their resume with all the metrics, the quantifiable metrics and accomplishments that they did during the year. And that also preps them for the meeting with the boss year end, to see what happens with those year-end bonuses, right? So I believe in teaching them young, in high school, to track those metrics. Now, when I deal with people who are, I'm a boomer, in boomer age, and they have to go back and think about all those metrics, they're not going to remember everything. So can you give it a best guess? What is a reasonable number? Or can you tell me, did you supervise a team of 2? Did you work on a team of 8? Did you work on a company that has 700 employees? Did you work in a company that does 14 billion a year? At least give me some metric if you can't think about, what your accomplishments were that are quantifiable going back to the past.
And I think about ADHD folks, and I think it would be lovely if we could have a category on our resumes of our ADHD superpowers.
Yeah, but my daughter, she had a 6-figure IT job and she lost that job, and she took a year and a half off before she decided what she wanted to do. She loves skiing. So she works at our local ski shop, and then she found a job serving and an event ambassador at Topgolf. And then she found another job doing travel for teams. And so she works that during the summer. She works the ski stuff in the winter, and she works at Topgolf year round. Now she's happy because she's moving her body, right? And
Hmm.
she's walking in the ski store, and she's moving around the airports and helping kids, and the Travel for Teens, and she's moving her body at Topgolf. So it took her a little bit to find her jam. Does she make as much money as she did? Heck no. But is she happy? Heck yeah. So sometimes just got to try different things, in order to find what works for you. And having ADHD, it was that movement, that really helped her rather than sitting behind a computer.
So do you work with people trying to decide what they want to do, or is it once they come to you, they've already kind of decided what they want to do?
So, okay, they have to come to me knowing what their direction is. Why? Because it's the writing, the positioning of where they want to go in their future forward, and all the keywords. So I'm strictly a writer as a career coach. Resumes, LinkedIn, keywords, and for entrepreneurs, LinkedIn company pages. I also write for 5 online news platforms that are local to me in the greater Philadelphia area. And he has over 160,000 subscribers. So I write weekly and put it out there. And then I will tweak my articles and put it on my LinkedIn newsletter. And then I'll also put it in the nonprofit website. But if people go to greatcareers.org in the top right-hand corner, they can type in ADHD, they can type in autism, and they can type in neurodiversity. And they will find articles that I've written that have a lot of resources and tools and tips. And if somebody has official diagnosis, there's also an IRS form where an employer can get a tax deduction for hiring somebody that has some diagnosis. But you have to read the fine print in that. But that's in my articles. And for a lot of people who don't know this, as part of neurodiversity, we don't want to call autism Asperger's, because Hans Asperger's goes back to the Nazi concentration camps, and you can read more about that. So there's my 2 cents worth.
Amen.
Even people that have Asperger's, that was their platform. They put it out there, and I don't know that they want to rebrand, so to speak, but if you're starting fresh, or you're a parent of a neurodivergent child who may have ASD, please don't call it Asperger's.
Yes, I would agree with that. So we have had a lovely conversation, but I always like to ask one last question. And my question for you is, what is a piece of advice that you would give ADHD folks who are either seeking or looking to change careers? What is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Other than make networking a habit, I would say show a good side of you and pay it forward. Do something to help somebody else. I'm all about volunteering. You will meet lots of people through volunteer opportunities also. So again, that's part of that networking. So network, and network on LinkedIn. You have to talk to strangers because it's people that hire people, not bots.
Yeah. And the more you do it, the more used to you get to doing it, and the easier it becomes, right?
Absolutely. And reach out for help if you need it. And by all means, check out greatcareers.org and our events page. You will find an awful lot of resources on there, articles that I've written, like a really substantial article on interview tips using AI and whatnot. So yeah, dive in.
Yeah, and I was skimming through some of your stuff, and you've got some really good resources out there.
The big thing is it's Lynne with an E for education. So connect on LinkedIn. So it's LinkedIn/in/Lynne, Lynne Williams. And then right under my headline, you will see more gobsmacking resources. And that is my link tree, link of links. You will find pretty much everything you need right there. It'll take you to the nonprofit. It'll take you to my speaking events, my writing, etc. So happy to be here today. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. And I'm going to go and link myself to you in LinkedIn as soon as we get done. You probably gonna look at my LinkedIn and go, oh, she needs help.
Come and learn at my workshops.
I'm thinking it might not be a bad idea.
There you go.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Lynn. I've really enjoyed our conversation and I appreciate the work that you do. It is so important and people take for granted, I think, go find a job. It's not that
Oh, yeah.
easy.
It's not that easy. Yep. Sometimes you need a helping hand.
So thank you again. And to my butterflies on the wall, if you like what you hear or liked our content, remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.